Autism spectrum. Autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder, which means that autistic people develop differently to typical children. The brain of autistic people works in a different way from the very beginning of life. This is why the development of people with autism is unique. It is not a disease and cannot be cured, but it can be worked on so that children with autism can develop and adapt to a group as well as possible. Autism is different for each person. Autism is not the same in every person, but is a spectrum of different characteristics. People on the autism spectrum have very different behaviors and their severity. Behavior and interests. Symptoms of autism in terms of rigid behavior include attachment to routine, e.g. a child insists on walking exactly the same route to school or eating from the same plate. Difficulty adapting to changes in schedule or environment, e.g. rearranging furniture, changing the time of leaving for school. Atypical attachment to toys or objects, e.g. keys, light switches, threads. Interest in a narrow field of knowledge, e.g. tram timetables, dinosaurs, numbers, specific brands of vacuum cleaners, spending a lot of time arranging toys in a specific way, observing moving objects, e.g. fan, washing machine, concentrating on a specific part of an object, e.g. car wheel. Hypersensitivity or sensory under-responsiveness. What can sensory difficulties indicate? Covering the ears when certain sounds are heard, aversion to being hugged or touched, or, conversely, seeking affection by hugging, e.g. covering oneself with heavy duvets, hugging tightly, sitting in confined spaces. Search for sensory experiences, e.g. bouncing up and down vigorously, staring at light, strong reactions to stimuli, e.g. crying when touched, specific texture of an object, e.g. loose things, sand, groats, rice. Ways of identifying and supporting these students. To diagnose autism, it is necessary to take into account the various behaviors of the child. The first step is, of course, observation, taking notes and then interviewing the parents and taking psychological tests with a specialist. It is very important that the intervention and diagnosis is made as soon as possible, because this is the crucial step from which everything starts, and it is of great importance for the child's development, enabling the implementation and tailoring of therapy to their individual needs. Support. Supporting pupils with autism requires, above all, an individual approach and the adaptation of teaching methods to the specific child. It is crucial to observe the child constantly and to adapt the learning pace flexibly. It is useful to use a variety of learning materials and visual aids. This makes it much easier for children with autism to acquire knowledge, concentrate their attention and engage more willingly in activities. The most important skills to be developed are communication and social skills. Teachers should use different forms of communication, such as speech, gestures or images, to reach such a student and check what is easiest for them to read and what needs to be reinforced. Introduction of additional forms of support. Depending on the needs of the autistic child, it may be necessary to use additional forms of support, e.g. individual classes or therapies. A support teacher can also be an invaluable support for the student. Such a person can help to adapt teaching materials and methods, monitor the student's progress, support their social and emotional development, and react in situations of conflict with peers. Strategies for creating inclusive learning environments.
Adaptation of the learning environment. Peer support, extending the time to process information.
Adaptation of the learning environment. The appropriate space. The appropriate space is very important for the well-being of children with autism. It must be a room that they already know well, which is clearly arranged and marked for them, and it is important to remember not to introduce changes in them, and if it is necessary, to prepare the child well in advance, explaining exactly what will be changed and when. It is a good idea for lessons to be conducted by the same teachers and that children do not change the desks. It can be helpful to present daily or lesson plans verbally and support them with written or pictorial form. The child can have such a plan on the desk and tick off the activities they have completed. Peer support. Children on the autism spectrum have difficulty making friends with their peers. Unfortunately, most children with autism experience rejection at school. Children want to establish good relationships with their peers, but they need help to do so. This is why the role of the teacher is crucial. The teacher will not only prepare the other children to behave appropriately and understand their autistic classmate, but will also support and guide the autistic child so that they can express their thoughts and intentions in the best possible way and participate fully in school life. It is important to keep building acceptance and empathy among peers, as this is crucial for the proper development of children with autism. Extending the time to process information. Children with autism process information that enters the brain in a different way. Therefore, they may need a little more time to react to a command or answer a question. Asking too many questions or rushing to answer them can make them feel lost, overwhelmed or anxious to escape the conversation. Allowing more time for autistic children is key to creating inclusive conditions. Teacher self-development work.
Expanding knowledge and improving skills. Work on appropriate communication. Dealing with problematic behavior. Practice and failure analysis. Author Natalia Kubienik.
www.diversemind.eu